So the today's topic that we have is on the basic of the power system restoration. So we will in this part one, basically we will look into the type of blackouts, what is the requirement restoration, then based on the type of blackout, what are the reasons behind the blackout, basic reasons we will look into. First, we will not go into of those reasons in this session. And then what we can do is that we will have some few quiz, small exercises just to get a good overview to all of you regarding the type of blackout, restoration, what are the problems that can be faced. Basically, all these are linked to the previous webinar also. What are the challenges that we can face during the system operation? And thereafter, we will look into the aspect that what are the strategy of restoration, what are the approach that we can have, and at the end we will look into one of the example how these different approaches can be used in the power system. So this is the operational state of the grid. This we have discussed during the previous sessions mechanism. There we have discussed the normal, alert and emergency state of the system, and what are the actions that are there which can help them, which can help a power system operator or which can help the grid itself to bring back the system back to operational state. Basically it is जो हमारा जो ग्रिड होता है उसमें what are the different mode of operation, मतलब different state of operation, what are the उसमें ग्रिड में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आएगा तो कैसे इसको रिजॉल्व करेंगे. So those are included in this in the previous webinar, how to bring back the system from normal emergency and alert state to normal state using some defense mechanism and preventive controls. So different controls are there. So in defense mechanism, we basically discussed on the preventive as well as the emergency control. But we can know that the system can go from this emergency to extreme state also. Corrective action were not sufficient enough to bring back the system back to normal. And ultimately, we can have some isolation in the system, separation in the system. And that's why some blackout can happen. Some portion can get blacked out, or large portion can get blacked out. And after that, we have to go for the restorative strategy should be such that we should bring back the system back to normal condition from dark out state in the least possible manner of time. So this was the example, that analogous example. I just love to show this picture related to our day-to-day. In the peaceful scenario, there is no problem. If there are problem between these childs, then parents are there to bring back the system to normal state through some measures that they take on the children's. And if still the problem becomes intensified and we have multiple parallel kind of scenario, then we have either you can take some extreme action through parents, or you can extreme action by giving a warning through the law agencies that, okay, you should not do that. There are rules, regulation, you should not violate. Otherwise, you will be in problem. And in case the emergency situation can go into the war kind of, then we are in the process of extreme conditions. So you take some action, you have to bring back some police, army, everything like that scenario, so that it can be brought back one by one back to normal state. And in case it doesn't get solved at those level also, then extreme action, extremely power action has to be taken. One is aspect is that you will get you have problems, then you have to lock down the culprits and all those kind of scene. So in that manner, you have to take some action in the sense that this will be very enforceable action. You cannot go beyond that. So these are basically the restorative part of the grid. Okay, and you can bring back the system. So you don't want to go in the in extremis states, basically. That is the purpose of real-time operator. Even if you go emergency, we also don't want, but that can happen with the operation in the different kind of operating scenario that present in the grid into day-to-day scenario. So we will look today will be on the restorative part, how the blackout happens and how we can bring back the system back to restoration part. So first we will look into what are the different type of blackout Basically means blackout is a very big term in itself, that it can happen at a larger scale also, partial larger scale, and it can happen at a very full scale also. So that's how we define it. So we have larger scale, then the localized scale, then partially or larger scale and fuller scale. So what are these different characteristic that we look into or that we see into these kind of blackout? We will look into this slide. So any small scale kind of scenario or blackout scenario can happen from tripping of one of the transmission or distribution line, and it can go up to a loss of entire substation. It has the severity. On the terms of severity, it is low severity because it impacted a very portion of the power system. It does not affect the rest of the power system. So it is a localized kind of blackout, localized kind of phenomena is there. And it is the most common phenomena we see on day-to-day basis. We see that due to some fault, the transmission line trip or radial system got tripped. So on that, we see that this kind of event is happening in the system. And on the geographical scale, already intimated you that it is on a small geographical scale, not a large geographical scale. So all these are basically, if you see that it's defined in terms of the power system, how large is the power system. For a smaller power system, there one line tripping can result in a fuller scale also, and for a larger power system, it can impact a smaller area only. So it depend upon these definition or these scale. All these definition depend upon the type of means the size of the power system. So example already told you that distribution, transmission, or generation feeder outage or substation outage. So all these come into the small scale kind of blackout. Then we have a partial or large scale blackout. So what can happen in that? Let us say we have a delayed fault clearance at one of the substation. So the remote end lines also got tripped. So impacted more than one substation. So basically, in larger scale, more than one substation can be involved, and that impact the area. In case of like smaller islanded system, there also means one small substation is basically for them it is a very large kind of substation in terms of the size. So there a smaller station tripping can result in a larger scale blackout itself. And in this larger scale, the rest of the system remain intact, and one large portion of the system gets isolated or gets blacked out in the system. Then the wider scale or the blackout, basically it means that it has impacted more than one state or one control areas. So it is not limited to one substation, it impacts for more than one substation. So again, the definition depends upon the size of the grid. So here we are talking about a larger scale blackout. So its effect is very large in terms of the geography, and the large population of customer get deprived of the electricity due to these blackout. And in such condition, there can be two scenario. One scenario is that when you are getting affected, the one particular utility or control area get affected, then you can have some outside help to restore the system. Or another case can be you don't have any help available from the outside. So this three category of blackouts are there. We will look into the examples also, and hope you get the basic meaning that means how we can define this blackout. And based on these types, we define our course of action later on. So the reason behind such kind of blackout. On localized scale, we can see that there can be a transmission line fault, distribution or generation system fault, or there can be a bus fault in the substation itself, or other kind of equipment damage can be in the substation itself. It can be related to weather also, that lightning has impacted or there is a rain. So a small portion of substation gets submerged, and due to that you have to just cut it off from the system, and due to that you may be in a situation that you are not able to supply the radial loads. So that is the localized scale. And it can also happen due to that there is some controller malfunction at some of the any generating plant or any substation. Due to this also you can have some trippings, or you can have some kind of oscillatory higher magnitude oscillation, all those impact. There can be issue of switching error during some maintenance activity, some wrong switching resulted in a fault, and due to that or some wrong resulted into the tripping of the breaker. So that can result into the smaller scale blackout. Last one is a vandalism, like one substation getting means affected due to some, you can say that there is a protest outside the substation due to which it has to be just cut off from the grid, so that there is no impact to the human life during those conditions. Because one of the important aspect in the power system is that one is the supply of energy. Prior to that, to run a power or to run as a good operator, you should also consider that human life is quite precious. So you have always to give that as a priority. On the side, a delayed kind of fault clearance, so that it impacts more than one particular element in that. A scenario of voltage collapse, we have seen such kind of partial collapse in Punjab also, so due to the voltage collapse event. And a smaller scale, that there can be power swing also. There can be weather related event like cyclone causing multiple tripping, fog causing multiple tripping. So fog is prominent in the northern part, cyclone prominent in the eastern part. We have seen different cyclones, like recently we have seen Fani also. Earlier cyclones were Philane, Hudhud. All this has impacted the power system and resulted in a small, means this kind of blackout at a smaller scale, but not at a larger scale we have seen. Then a result, one tripping has led to the one or two trippings, or multiple tripping has led to the thermal cascading, thermal overload and tripping of other element also. So in that, this is the scenario that we also face during the partial or larger scale blackout. Already told you about that. There is a multiple concurrent tripping of and transmission system due to some, like say that coal is not available to the power plants. So in that case, what will happen? You have to switch off the one by one larger power plant which are dependent on the coal scenario. And if you don't have adequate amount of other reserves, then what you have to, you cannot serve that much amount of load. So those also results in such kind of blackout. At the fuller scale, there is a large scale voltage collapse scenario can be there. Large frequency deviation kind of event, means you can say that the frequency has dropped due to the large amount of generation tripping in the system. So, and again, the is that there can be dynamic instability, because one of the major transmission line which is evacuating the power from one regional grid to other regional grid, one state to other state. In those, if those transmission line get tripped, so under that condition, what can happen is that there can be a power swing kind of scenario. So suddenly the power will be routed through the rest of the system, and due to that, there can be angular stability problems. Then multiple scale cascading of due to the thermal outages, and like severe event can also happen, like hurricanes, cyclones, and earthquake kind of scenario. And human induced, somebody has selectively attacked on the different kind of critical substation. So under those scenario also, this full scale blackout can happen. So yeah, larger scale blackout can happen in the system. We have seen the types, we have seen the reasons, and then we look into the restoration aspect. So how we can restore. So at a smaller scale, what we can do, just isolate the faulty system. Whatever has caused the problem, just isolate it and restore the rest of the system. And look into the aspect that there is no other cascading, or there is a stability after this restoration. There is no issue of N-1 and other reliability criteria in the system. Then on the a scale of larger scale, or that in that restoration is determined through what are the things that it can be restored through switching of the unaffected system. So one thing is common, if you can see that in all the three, just you have to isolate the problem creating from where the problem has originated. You have to first isolate it. Otherwise, what can happen is that again you just connect those faulty system part of the system into the restore into the system, and then they can again create such kind of scenario that again the fault persists, and this resulted in again second blackout kind of scenario. So that's why you have to isolate the system. So like you can see in the full scale, you just how do you do restoration. Either you can start from your own, from the basic scratch, like the restoration through the black start capable units. You just bring those units, create a small island, and then synchronize them. Other thing can be there, then you can just synchronize with respect whatever the available power system which has not been impacted From there, you can take some power to restore your thermal units or other units and bring back the power in your area. One by one, you create the island. So you can, in that way also, you can restore your system. So in this, we see the top down and bottom up and mixed approach or combinational approach we can see. So we will look into these also in detail in the latter part of our slides. Then what is the sequence of the power system blackout? If anything such kind of thing can happen, then what are the sequence that is there? So now we are coming to system blackout. What is the sequence that basically it follows? So first is the initiating cause. Whatever is the initiating cause, that can result in a system level problem. And with the system level problem, if adequate actions are not taken, then it can result in a system separation. With the system separation, there can be different multiple islands that can form in the system, and those islands depend upon the whatever the load generation imbalance is there in the island. If they are having adequate schemes in the island itself to so that it does not get tripped, it becomes balanced. So then that they will survive. Otherwise, the island will collapse. There can be a scenario that there is an island which has only load. There is an island which has a small amount of generation but large amount of load. So those will not be able to survive such kind of trippings. Okay. And then blackouts of the island will take place, and after those we have to start the restoration process. So in terms of if you look into the fact that how this restoration process will depend upon the first you have to find out what are the problems are there in the grid, and then you have to, based on the assessment of the grid, you have to start preparing for your restoration sequence, how you are going to restore the system. You have to first have a wide level view. What are the systems that has been impacted due to this? What are the systems that are surviving? What is my connectivity with the neighboring area? Whether the neighboring area is surviving or not. So you have to complete evaluation assessment has to be done prior to starting your restoration sequence so that the restoration time can be least. That is the main intent of the restoration. You want to restore the system as soon as possible. Okay. So we can look into some of the large power system blackout. Okay, so each blackout, wherever it has occurred, it comes with some lessons. Okay, these lessons has to be learned in a very hard manner in terms of this blackout, and you have to take a lot of action. You have to do a long-term planning aspect. You have to do short-term planning aspect so that these events do not get, that you don't have, means such events should not reappear or repeat in the system. You don't want your consumer to face such kind of situation. You don't want your system operator generator, because it impacts a lot of utilities in terms of in terms of economic, in terms of the supply of power, because you know the electricity is one of the commodity which impacts each aspect of our day-to-day life. So that's why you don't want a blackout in system. So majorly what we have observed is that in these blackouts there were multiple techno-economic issues emerged. There are issues involved due to which this blackout has happened. There is not that you can say that only this is the single reason for these blackouts. No, each blackouts has multiple reasons involved, and based on those lessons, utility plans their system in such a manner that such events should not appear into the system. So there is a very large paradigm shift in the power system planning and operation after each of the blackout. Everybody learns the lesson hard way, and then they take certain action, they enforce the regulation, everything they enforce in such a manner that such problem should not reappear. So these lessons and all these activities on this particular aspect, what are the problems that was faced in this blackout, we will discuss in part 2. I am not going to include what are the lessons learned in this particular part 1 webinar. So we will certainly go into that. We must like to learn all those lessons in the part. So just a small quiz for all of you. Just these are basically just to keep the audience alive. So you can just see there is a 3 area system is there. Okay, area is A is there, which is having a higher generation of 1600 and load of 1400 megawatt is there, and then area adequate generation of 1600 and load of a small 1000 is there. And then you can see that there is the thermal loading, there is interconnection, tie lines are there. And area B, you can see that their load is high, generation is low. Okay. So this is just have a look at this picture. Then we go to second aspect, that there is a tripping of line between area A to C. Okay, so what will happen to the rest of the system? How the system will behave in that manner? So what occurred in what area? First thing is that you can see that area A, the load was 1400 megawatt, but after this inter of the tie lines, the load has reduced to 1000 megawatt. So there can be a problem in the system which has led to the loss of 400 megawatt load. So, and the rest of the system you can see remains and means they are not impacted from the in terms of the load and generation. So what will be happening to the frequency of the system? As we know that rest of the system is intact, but there is a loss of 400 megawatt load is there. So what will happen? There is a rise in the frequency because the load has reduced. What could be the other problems that you may expect? You see that these are the tie lines which are supplying 500 and 300. And there was a tie line through this which was supplying from area C to area A 100 megawatt and routing this power to this area. So what can happen? What are the problems that you can face? As you can see that generation and load is there, and what can happen is that these lines there may be a probability that these lines may get overload. Thermal capacity, it was earlier 300 megawatt, as these areas are having the equal amount of generation and load. So what can happen is that they can also go to the 400 megawatt to supply this particular area. The impedance of the tie line, let us assume it is same. So this may result in the overloading of this. So what are the actions that will be required? So as an operator, what you expect is that the governor operation should reduce the generation and bring down the frequency back to the normal frequency, nominal frequency, basically the system frequency 50. So these are the problems that you can face in such kind of scenario. There is a second scenario that again this A and C remains impacted, but the tie line from A to B and A to C, those got tripped. So what will happen? What are the issues that you are going to observe? Area B. What is happening in area B? There is an excess amount of load is there. There is a small amount of generation is there. 1600 megawatt, but right now only the generation is 800 megawatt. So there is a huge imbalance in the load generation. And certainly they were taking a lot of power from the constituent region, constituent areas basically. So there will be a power swing between the area A and C, and there will be a power swing in area B because the tie line has tripped. So these can result in area B. What can be that? There is a high load, frequency will fall. If excess generation is not online, there is a capacity of 1600 megawatt. If they are not online, what will happen? There will be, even if you frequency controller, still you will not be able to achieve this, meet this 1600 megawatt load, because the rest of the generation is, if not online, then the system may go for a collapse due to the frequency fall. The generator in that area may experience low frequency and they can get tripped. So there can be others like, because of excess load, voltage can also drop, the tie line loading, internal loading of the lines can also increase, and there can be a significant power swing. So what are the desired action that we want? There is a free governor mode of operation should be there, so that whatever is the online generation, that can be brought to the maximum capacity. Then you want your AGC to function in that area, so that whatever the generation is there, they can be further increased apart from the governor operation. Governor has given an operation to bring the frequency to a good nominal level. Then after that, AGC to continuously feed, means continuously increase the power in that particular generating plant in area B. Between area A and area C, what can happen? There is an excess generation capacity. You can see that there is a 200 megawatt excess generation there. There is a 600 megawatt excess generation there. So there can be 800 megawatt excess generation. Again, you want the frequency will rise, and you want that there should be excess generation should be brought back to nominal generation, and so that frequency can brought back from the higher frequency to the lower frequency to the nominal, basically to the nominal frequency. AGC will be there. Due to this stripping, there will be a large swing that can appear across area A to area C. So these are the problems that can appear in the system. So this is just a hypothetical scenario to just give you an overview on the aspect. Okay. So we have seen that The area B case, we have seen that it can go for a blackout, it can go. So under that condition, we have to also try to think on the restoration side. So what is power system restoration? So it is basically an activity after each blackout, and we have to restore the system. This restoration requires, first, most of the important thing is situational awareness. You should know how much is the problem that has appeared in the system, where the problem is there, what kind of generation has tripped, what are the systems that is still alive, whether we have the power from the neighboring region or not. So this is basically the situational awareness that an operator always wants to know before starting the restoration. He should know the area to which this blackout is there, where this blackout is located. Okay, so we wanted to have a very good overview. The operator, not only the operator at this grid level or the system operator, it is the situational awareness is required for the local operator of the substation itself, because they also want to know whether we are alive or we have cut off from the system, from where we can get the restoration power, what will be the action that has to be taken after these blackouts. So that into those aspects also. Okay, so that is basically, and prior to that, we also need to know, we should have a very good documentation. We should have some good exercises, mock drill activities, and training of operator in advance. Not that after this will be a real-time live test, because you means in real, when you face the problem, if you have some prior experience, then you will be able to perform better in terms of the restoration. And it requires basically the essential information dissemination among the operator. That is basically you communicate with different operators to get the complete situational awareness of that particular blackout. This is a very wartime kind of scenario. Okay, so your operator has to be very calm, cautious, and vigilant, because any small means if he is not aware about any small information also, then whatever the effort that he is putting in the restoration, that can also go in vain in case that particular island that he has created or the restoration path that he has created may get tripped. So the effort that he has taken will not be utilized, and it will increase the time of restoration. So already told you, it is a paradigm shift in the operation. Basically, in normal state, you have a very peacetime operation. Whatever the codes, whatever the operators are there, whatever that in terms of your operating range is there, in that you maintain everything and you are very happy. While in the restoration part, it is a challenging, it is a wartime, too many interruption will be there, too much of information will be there. You have to categorize the information in order to restart, take the action to restore the system. So what is the objective of your restoration procedure? Just the highlighted portion is main objective. You have to achieve the restoration of total system from blackout in the shortest possible time. So that is the major objective of the restoration procedure in any power. And basically, if you see that and you have to, in terms of this, because too many things are dependent, because the elements, the interdependent nature of the infrastructure. Electricity is a very critical infrastructure, and it has a very interdependent nature. Many things depend on this power. So based on that, you have to supply the power to the blackout area in the shortest possible time, so that impact can be reduced. So what are the things that is involved in the restoration task? So just you have to provide the information. You have, first of all, one of the most important, very good contact list in case of emergency, whom to contact. You have to provide them the information. You have to bring lot of manpower into the control center with different experiences, so that they can contribute to the faster system restoration. So you have adequate manpower in the substation, system everywhere. And you have to, first thing is that you have to determine the system status. One of the important aspects that we are already discussing so many times in this presentation. I am stressing on this particular aspect. Then after the assessment, you plan your restoration. You review the characteristic of the system which are stored. Then you prepare the startup, preparation activity, you start that plant. This plant should be brought back. From there, we have to restore, take the supply from the external system. Then you prepare your network to, okay, the power is available, black start or the black start capable generation has started. Then you prepare your network and slowly you energize your network and take the loads in service, maintain the load generation frequency in that particular island or wherever from you are getting the supply, and you start rebuilding the system. So hope you see the picture that is basically depicting the same restoration task. So what we have talked about a lot of things in terms of assessment. So how we are going to assess the system, what are the system that has been impacted due to that blackout. So first thing is that you have all substation, all generating plants, even the control center, they have a lot of alarms and events. So first you have to assess all those alarms and events, and you have to smartly access it so that you don't get you have to remove the garbage alarms, means those which are not very important to you, only thing that from which you can produce the meaningful information about why the system has blacked out. So those alarms you have to first calculate. Then you go for a communication assessment. One of the important aspect, this has not at all been to be neglected, where from you can communicate your information from one generating plant to other generating plant, whether that generating plant is able to communicate with their local substation, the remote end substation or not, whether the system operator is having a direct communication with the generating plant or not, because any action that you have to take will depend upon the communication assessment. What is the communication channel available to you? And apart from that, this communication channel also provide you the information about the part of network that you are able to visualize at your level. This depend upon the local substation level, local substation to the like RLDC, SLDC, or basically the load dispatcher, basically the ISOs. Okay, system operator. What are the information available to them in terms of the network visibility? Then you do a generator assessment also. Then you do the transmission assessment. And then at the end, you have to do a load assessment. What are the loads that is available? Which are the critical loads? What are the lines available to those critical loads? So we will look into these aspects also one by one. So into the system level assessment. So we have events, alarms, communication, generation, transmission. I have not included distribution. I have included in the latter part of the slide. Okay, so events and alarms. So first thing is that first indication of the issue. What is the first alarm that has appeared into your system? Because there will be a flooding, you have to smartly organize those alarms, remove those alarms which are of not that use at that moment of time. It is a wartime scenario, so multiple brains has to look into it. Not a single person can single-handedly restore the system. So every person has to contribute their part in organizing the alarm, providing the feedback have been the issue in the shortest possible time. Under this situation, one of the fact is that state estimator may not work properly, so you will not get completely access what is the network that is available, what are the systems that is islanded. So those information, if there is a communication breakdown, then also that may not properly function. Telemetry and level or poor availability will be there. So communication failure, RTU, PMUs failure, substation battery can even fail in case you delay, means there is a fault which has impacted those battery also, although these are isolated, but in case there is an issue, somebody has not checked his battery status for a prolonged time, then what can such condition, battery may not provide the desired this DC output and can provide the power to the whatever it means, like the breakers as well as the power to your relays. All this if not available, then this can result in a further problem. You have to also look into that. There will be a lot of questionable data be there because of the wrong information that may get under such kind of scenario. You have to filter out all those kind of things to get a system level assessment. Communication side, one of the important things is that functional communication are critical for the assessment. Okay, so communication is basically telephonic communication, that is voice communication, also a speech basically speech communication, as well as the protection and a SCADA communication. Those are also included in that part. So this communication is a very important aspect while reducing the time of restoration and assessing how much is the impacted area. There may be a communication loss from a substation, it means any power plant or any black start power plant which may have survived those kind of events. So they can help you. If there is no communication from them, then what will happen is that you will not be able to utilize those areas which are already surviving for further faster restoration of the system. So you should always check the backup communication system availability. You should also look into the initiating the extent of blackout and what are the things that has resulted. And during such wartime scenario, there will be a multiple questionnaire that will be brought to you. Many phone calls will be received by the control center. So operator who is restoring the system, he should be away from the non-productive communication. Okay. And there will be a separate coordinating officer requirement at control room center, which can interact with the government, media, consumers, so that they can provide them the information under those scenarios. On the transmission and generation, you have to look into the aspect of surviving. What are the surviving islands, captive power plant, which are the generating unit which has went for the house load operation, because if these are there, then it will help you in faster restoration of the system because power is available. So what you can do is that utilize those surviving CPP, and first thing is that you should try to means what you can say is that stabilize these, say, whatever is surviving, you have to first stabilize them so that they should not also black out after certain moment duration of time. So you have to stabilize those island or the captive power plant and house load units. Then you have to take the readiness of the black start capable unit. So for that activity, you always have to do the mock drills prior to these kind of scenario when they happen. So if they are prepared on these aspects, then there will not be any issue during the actual scenarios. Then you have to take offline unit which were not in service, though those which were not in service during this time of grid disturbance or the blackout scenarios. So those will take a lot more amount of time for bringing back into the system. Then you have to look into the hot and cold, where we are then the hotter start, or whether you have to go for a colder start of those units. And one important aspect that you have to also go for if there is a nuclear power plant involved, then you have to go for a safe shutdown process so that there is no, means you can say that there is no poisoning of the reactors. So that should be also be taken care. You have to supply a minimum amount of power immediately so that they can safer shutdown. And you have to look into the transmission aspect, that circuit breaker, whether opened, whether closed, what is the equipment status. And you try to find what is the initiating cause of the event and what is the extent of blackout in terms of the system level assessment. Then we come to the level assessment. Those system level assessments will be done by the operators, ISOs, TSOs basically. Then generating plant, they have to assess what is the problem with my system, and they provide this information to the system operator also. So there will be three kind of things scenario. One is online, one is offline, and in online units, offline units, one can be cold and all those hot start, cold start will be there. And there will be those units which will be on the prolonged shutdown, and there will be units which have a black start capability, so they can be brought back immediately. So online units, you have to look into the aspect of what is the island side, what is the frequency stability, how much frequency is varying in that particular online unit. Generation should be intimated that you have to coordinate with the local area so that the load generation balance can be restored, and there should not be any excess frequency deviation in an island, so that you are very in a stable condition. And then you have to look into that how much is the unload means. Okay, let us say generation and load means one island is there which is having a load of 300 megawatt and generation of 400 megawatt, but the unit is capable to generate 600 megawatt up to. So you have a reserve. Immediately after the island, what will happen? The load is 300, so 400 megawatt will be coming back to the 300 megawatt. Okay, so now you have a reserve margin of 300 megawatt capacity available at you. So you have to utilize those to increase the island size to restore more amount of load in a quicker manner. So, and by stabilizing the island and providing the more, means restoring the more amount of nearby area. Then you have to, in this online unit, one of the important aspect is the free governor operation. It has to be there. Otherwise, the island will not stabilize by quickly reducing the generation or quickly increasing the generation, all those capability. And what is the connectivity with the rest of the system, from where you can connect it with the remaining portion of the island. If the larger part of the power system is stable, then you have to connect immediately so that it can get a good amount of inertial support, so that frequency deviation can be further reduced. Then the second aspect is the offline units. You have to take a prior, means which were the unit which were running, which were on the hot, which are on the hot start, which can be hot start and which can be in the cold start mode, or which are on the maintenance. Then you have to look into the what are the type of unit, whether it is a gas unit, whether it is a thermal, whether it is a hydro. You have to look into the what are the paths available through which I can bring back those units, or what are the paths through which these units can be applied. Then you have to do the damage assessment, whether there is a damage due to the this can, because you know that then when there is such kind of event is there, then the frequency can fall very low. Under that kind of system operation, the generator is in like in a stable zone of operation, like the frequency has fallen down to 47.5. It may trip. Under that situation, they are facing a lot of stress in the unit. So there can be other issues. There can be damage to the equipment level also. So those you have to assess that whether there is any damage is there or not. If there is no damage, then it is okay. We can bring the units quite fast. If there is a damage, then it will take time to repair those units. Then what intention of the for the offline unit as a system operator should be that you should provide the at least the auxiliary power supply in a quicker manner, especially for the cold means a hot start unit, so that the unit can be brought back. The auxiliary can be they can run on the supply from the system. What system is there. So that is the intent for the offline unit. On-site resource of power available or is off-site source of power available means like you have to access whether the local there is a DG available is there, or there is an island nearby available is there. So whether there is an on-site power is available to means operate the system auxiliary amount of power, or whether you have to provide it through some other generating plant in that scenario. Then we go to the black start unit. What are black start unit? These are the unit which has the means locally available auxiliary power, so that it can be brought back to the service in a very quick manner of 10 minutes. We can bring back those units, okay, and we can start making the system. So these are the basically we can say that these units are basically the hydropower plants, and these apart from this hydropower plant, we have the gas plants like the CCGTs are there, okay, combined cycle gas turbines. So in those power plants, you can have some of auxiliary in the terms of like a battery is there. In terms of the generator means you can have a small DG sets already there to provide the auxiliary supply to bring back the unit immediately. So they have their own auxiliary supply arrangement at the local level. So you can bring the unit quite fast. And based on that, you start providing the crank, just start making a smaller island and restore the loads. You try to go to the nearby critical loads. You try to go to the nearby thermal station, which can be revived immediately. And based on that, you charge lines and provide the supply to the nearby substations. So these, apart from that, you also have to, because it is a black start is a very mock drill exercise. Many people are involved in that during the mock drill exercise. So those persons should also be immediately be brought back to the control room, so that they can provide their feedback how to do this. If there is any problem, immediately how to rectify this, so that these units provide a immediately means provide the supply to the system. So overall crux is that you have to first determine surviving unit, stabilize those islands, determine the status of offline and black start unit, and the cranking path that can be that you can create start to those offline units and the nearby loads. Prepare plan for bringing offline units and black start unit. So you have to prepare black start unit, already have a good procedure in place at their substation as well as at the operational, at the system operator level, how to we can create the islands. And then you auxiliary supply offline unit you wanted to provide, and what will be the restoration sequence if the unit can be brought back, then how you are going to restore the nearby other units. So those plans also have to be prepared. A small island and their synchronization for larger in India. You prepare a smaller island and you then join those islands to create means you synchronize those islands so that your inertia is quite high, so that the free governor mode of operation is not dependent on a single unit, or the frequency stability of that island is not dependent on that unit itself, but it will be later shifted to the other units, and you have a higher inertia, the frequency deviation will reduce. And the rate of change of frequency for fall and rise, that will also further reduce. So system level generation, then we look into the transmission. For transmission, there is awareness, that is one most important thing. So how you get the awareness of the how much transmission system is available, what are the problems that that frequency measurement from a SCADA and WAM system. If those are not available, then what you try to do is that you get a picture from the telephonic conversation with the those power plants which are surviving. So you get a frequency and the nearby system which are surviving. So you get the frequency measurement. You can see that if the frequencies are varying, means you one system frequency is 50 Hz, another is 52 Hz, or 51 Hz, then you know that the system has islanded from the rest of the portion. Then you have voltage measurement. If higher voltages are there, what are the cause, what are the problems that can be there, if whether the voltage is available at that substation or not. If there is no voltage, then it means that it is out. Then circuit breaker status, it also represents the which lines are open, which lines are closed. Validation and verification from the field person. This is also essential. We already verify these details from the field person. That, okay, just tell me what has happened at your substation level. Then you have a preliminary indication from alarms and sites. Okay. Then you whether the substation is ready for restoration or not, that also you take as a feedback from the site personnel. And you have to closely coordinate the site substation level, the transmission level. They have to closely coordinate with remote end also and the system operation level. At the substation level, person he is immediately will know that what is the my and what is the means if the frequency is high, he will be able to know that whether I am surviving or not, whether I am a part of the system or not, that he can access. And if how much from the remote in substation connectivity, he can see that whether the power is going to the other lines or not. Even if my breaker is closed, no power is going, so means remote in is not connected with me, something like that, or there is no load at the remote in, something has happened in the system. So this gives you a preliminary awareness about the system at the transmission level. These information are also passed on to the system operator so that he can do a system level assessment. Then you have in field two kind of scenario will be there. Either your circuit open or your circuit breaker will be closed. So what could be the probable reason for your circuit breaker opening and what could be the probable reason for circuit breaker closed? So that you have to access with the help of the field level personnel. So due to the permanent fault also, which has resulted, which has created the event and resulted a delayed fault clearance, these can result into the protection operation, and due to this the circuit breaker has tripped. So you have to take a indication, what is the relay indication for this line, whether the fault was on this line or whether it was on the other line, what has happened, whether it has tripped on the fault or tripped on the power swing or any other kind of criteria. Because in a system level event, there can be a fault also, there can be a no fault scenario also, like power swing, which can be depicted as a fault. You know that means this, if you see the apparent impedance seen by the relay, so it will be Z is equal to V by I. Let us say there is a power swing, there is a voltage collapse, then V will immediately becomes quite low. Under that scenario, there is a high current flow. If there is, under that scenario, what the relay will see that there is an encroachment there is a power swing there. So it can treat it as a fault. That power swing has led to the apparent impedance enter into the zone 1 characteristic. So there is no fault on that line, but that line may trip on the protection aspect. So you have to look into this very seriously, where this information is very critical for restoration, so that you don't try to energize the faulty part, you are trying to energize only the healthy part of the system. There can be temporary faults also. How it can happen that, okay, there is an event is there, some major event has happened due to which the nearby system got overloaded, which has resulted in cascading. Due to the thermal overload, there can be a sag in the sag in the conductor, which can result into the fault in the system, temporary fault kind of scenario. And as soon as the system gets isolated, this thermal overload will disappear because the system is now having zero power. So what can happen? They will cool down and this sag will further reduce and you can take back the line into the service. Okay. And you also have to look into the not only the transmission line, you have to look into the how the transformer has reactor, capacitor bands, what are the equipment that has operated on protection and what has not operated on protection. Second aspect is the closed circuit breaker. So what does a closed circuit breaker indicate? There can be a DNR, these are just de-energized because there is no fault, but there is no supply. So just blacked out because there is no supply there. Like radial loads, all these breakers will immediately go. They will not trip. Just there will be no operation. They will be in closed condition because means the whole system is blacked out in that portion. And there can be another aspect to that. Most important thing that you have to look into. There can be an equipment which has created the fault, which has not isolated its fault, and due to because of the non-operation of and that has resulted in the complete system problem that also have to be looked into, whether there is a damage to the equipment and it has not been cleared by the relay action. So that is also very seriously looked into by the transmission level operator. Whether any equipment has damaged after the system shutdown, so due to that, also will be having a closed circuit breaker kind of scenarios. And these closed circuit breaker information, this also helps you in finding the particular root cause which has created the event. So that's very important. So as overall, if you see the flow diagram, that you see the determine the CBA status, healthiness, relay indication information is collected. You utilize at transmission level, you utilize the DR event logger. At system operator level, they have PMU data and the relay indication, whatever, or the whatever the information available from the SCADA alarms. You try to find which is the problematic part, faulty part, which has created the event, and then you ready the cranking path, isolating the faulty part so that you can go for a restoration. The transmission system operator, they coordinate with the independent system operator, ISOs, or the system operator, what we call in India is a load dispatch center, basically RLDC, NLDC, SLDC. So those they coordinate with them, and they also coordinate with the remote in substation. Information is very critical for them from what has happened at their end, what has happened at the remote end also. And they ensure that there is means during the restoration, they also had to know that how much voltage should rise in my system, what will be available or not. When you are charging a long transmission line to restore the system, whether the reactor is available, adequate reactive power is available or not, what could be the possible rise in the fault, means the voltage that can be there. So you want a very smooth, and what are the loads that are available at my substation, how much a smooth load can I go for. Then last part is the system distribution system assessment. So prior to load build up, so you go for you just wanted to know much which are, you just classify your loads, which are critical loads, which are voltage controllable loads, which are the loads the generation plant which is nearby to them, so that they can, if they are, I am bringing a substation of, let us say 500 megawatt, then at least I should have 10 or 20, 30 or 40% in terms of thermal generation. I have enough amount of load available so that the slowly I can pick up the load, and the load generation balance can be achieved, and unit is in stable mode of operation, not in the unstable mode of operation. Okay, so that's why this distribution level assessment also has to be there. So overall, if you see the aspect, one aspect is communication, one aspect that comes with the assessment level is teamwork and proper coordination with all the agencies, not only transmission, distribution, generation. You have to coordinate with multiple agencies during these times. You have to coordinate with government also, media also, consumer also. So everybody has to play their part very smoothly. Okay, so the control room operator should be able to bear with the available information how they can bring back the system. So it is a completely teamwork effort. It is not that only as a system operator is having the complete information and substation is not having, there is no proper communication between them, then this can result in the, when whatever the effort that you are putting in restoring the system, any small hiccups can result in tripping of that particular islanded portion that you have created just now. So you have to be very, team effort is very much required in this one. So there are different stages of restoration. We will not look into that completely. Just you have 1 or 2 hours to assess the whole system, collect the information as much as possible, then you start preparing for the system restoration activity, and then you take the action. Okay, and at the end, your objective is to maximum load restoration in least possible manner of time. So this is just a schematic. Depend upon the system. Some systems which are completely hydro-based system, they can be brought back in service within 30 minutes. Some which are completely dependent on thermal, they may take further amount of time. Some system which are completely dependent on the renewables also, they may take a lot of time to bring back the system. So this depends upon the type of system, type of generation that is available, type of connectivity that is available to store the system. So we have assessed the system. Then thing is that, okay, I have different kind of islands, CPP, everything is available with my system. Then I want to try to restore the system. So what should be my strategy? Because the system operator, after assessment, he has to prepare a strategy part of the system I can, what could be the approach, and based on that we will go for the restoration. Okay, so we will look into that. There are different kind of approaches are there. First is bottom up approach. So what is bottom up approach? So bottom up is that have any supply from the neighboring system, you don't have any help from the neighboring system, the complete system has went down, and even if there is a supply available, there is a in the neighboring system there is a long path which could not be availed at these moment of time. So we don't have any external support. So what we have is that you have to have some internal support in terms of the black start unit, or in terms of some islanding scheme, or in terms of the captive power plant, or in terms of some units going on the house load. So what you do is that you create a smaller island from those areas and you try to restore the system. Okay. So what is bottom up approach? You identify blackout area, check for islands, identify the cause, verify equipment availability, identify the sources of available supply. First is that you synchronize this units which are available, means those who are on the house load, with more amount of load, so that they can be stabilized. Then you build the system also. At the same time you are doing the other exercise on the same time, is building the backbone system from black start unit. So you have two sets of aspect. One is the already system which is existing, another is the black start unit. A star restoration of all the priority load, grow the balanced island, synchronize island, and restore. Lastly, if you synchronize, then you connect with the neighboring region, restore the DC connection. Now the VSC based, if the HVDC is VSC based, then you can also provide the black start capability using the black start power from the VSC based HVDCs. So in the bottom up itself, there are multiple approaches. Three to four approaches are there that we will look into. First is that multiple island approach. They have some advantage, they have certainly some disadvantage will be there, because the blackout is a scenario in which you don't will be having all the positive things only at your hand. So what is the advantage of multiple island approach? You see that there is a generation, there is a load. So you create a small island here. Okay. There is a generation load, you create a small island. Here also you create a smaller island. Then you try to connect these islands with each other. So you have multiple area restored at the same time. That is one of the advantages. You are able to quickly pick up a smaller area, load generation balance, you create a smaller island you create. Then if one island, quick restart of the specific generation, nearby generation can also be quickly provided the supply. And even if one island goes out, then you have other island in service through which this island can be brought back also in a faster manner. And it allows for load pickup in critical geographic area. It means, like, let us say you have a very significant amount of load and it is very important load, a capital city is there. So in that case, it helps in critical load pickup in the critical geographic area. Disadvantages are also there. More difficult to control and interconnect multiple island. You have multiple island, then you need to be very cautious. Okay. So because you have to maintain the load generation balance in all the island at the same amount of time, means at the same time basically. And you have to interconnect. So you have to synchronize these two islands. So you should completely know about the characteristic, and you should have basically a synchronization facility available in the cranking path through which you are going to through which the tie line through which you are going to synchronize those island. You have to maintain, and it should have adequate capacity so that in case there is a tie line flow from one region to other region also, then the island can survive. Then if you are creating a smaller island, then there will be less stability due to the small size, because inertia will be less, so frequency deviation for a smaller change of load in that island will be significantly high. Generation operator frequency within there. Here it means all the generator operator has to look into the aspect that how they are able to control the frequency. And overall restoration, because you are coming up with all those and you have to put an effort from, okay, from this to this I will synchronize, from this island to this island I will synchronize. So you have to put up a lot at the same moment of time. And a smaller island, there can be a voltage issues also. So this will also come into the picture. So these are the disadvantages and these are the advantages of the multiple island approach. Second is that what we call is the core or main island approach. Okay. So what is there? You have a core island okay, generation is there, you connect all these generating plant which nearby. So this will be very much applicable when you are having a lot of generating plant nearby to each other and there is a significant amount of load also available. So what you will do is that you will be having a very large and highly stable island with more amount of generation. Control is focused and switching will be very coordinated. Also, island is very large in the size, so the frequency deviation will be low. Voltage problem we can be solved by the dispatch of reactive power by the voltage controller of all these generating plant also. Increase the stability, more likely with the neighboring system because it is a very, you can provide charge large, means longer lines with having a very high requirement of the reactive power. So it will reduce your overall restoration time. So basically it depends upon the characteristic of the system, how the system is there, how the generation is spaced out in the geographic area, whether they are located nearby or whether they are quite far away. So depend upon the characteristic of that power system also. And as soon as you have more amount of generation, so more fault current will be available, the strength of the island will be high, frequency voltage deviation will be low, frequency deviation will be low. If there is a fault, you will be having a high amount of fault current. So any problem, if there is a fault has come into the picture, immediately it will get also cleared out. So it will not means destabilization of island will be least, means it will not be impacting the rest of the system in that significant way. Problem is that only one island, if there is a failure of this island, then you have certainly a disadvantage that you have to restart the whole process and the repetition of entire restoration process has to be done. And in case in this, if the generation is located nearby, then the load may be at farther away substation. So what will happen is that there may be a level at the other substation, means quite far away from this particular generation complex, then they may get delayed. The restoration of those load may get delayed. And apart from that, the substation or the generating plant which are quite far away from this particular highly stable then what will happen, their auxiliary supply may get completely drained out. Battery, it has some capacity that they have a reserve of diesel in the particular substation or the generating plant, they may get depleted. So under that condition, this the substation which are away from may run out of the auxiliary or backup supply. So it will become difficult to again charge those areas. So that is one of the problems with the core main island approach. So it has advantages, it has some disadvantages. Third is the backbone island approach. So what is backbone island? Look into that. Just you one by one, you are connecting the island, you are just going to one load, then you are supplying to the next generation plant, then you are again going to the next one. And in that manner, you are just creating an island, you are expanding your island area. And there is, you can see there is no interconnectivity between among these. So this is a backbone, one by one you are going to supply, and later on you can connect this. Okay, so you can make a core island also out of this. So that way also approach, but it is basically applicable when the load different generating plant are located far away. So you start with one generating plant, second generating plant, restore some load, again next generating plant, restore some load. These generating plant which are providing the cranking power to the other substation, they are first stabilized, then you move to the next generating plant, then that is stabilized, you move to the next. So that is there. Problem is there, you have to charge longer lines, so voltage problem certainly will be there. But here the focus control, one, you can focus on these two plants, then these three plants for the frequency. So you have a very good approach of focus control and switching action. You just first focus on switching off this, then switching off this plant, how much load has to be restored back. In that manner it is to be there. So problem is that if you are going to supply to the plant, next generating plant may be located far away, so voltage control will be difficult in that scenario, because voltage is basically a locally you can control. So this plant can control the voltage up to this particular load center or the next generating plant, but is not able to control this one. You have to dependent on this generating plant. So in that, voltage control may become difficult. So it depends upon the type of power plant, the location, and how far they are located from each other, how much reactive power is there, how much is the tie line, what is the reactive power requirement of that tie line. And these may be unstable, because you are up a smaller power plant one by one. So this island may become unstable due to limited online generation and relatively longer transmission line with less networking. You can see the networking is quite low compared to the earlier cases. Here networking is high, here also networking is high, multiple island, 4 island, but here the networking is low. Okay. So it may also delay the restoration of critical load. This is the critical load you have to restore, but it is through 400 kV line. So first you have to go through this part to supply this load. So certainly it will take some time. On the side of this is the basically bottom. You start from the smaller power plant, you bring back those power plant into the system, and then you start restoring the load. That is, you are entirely dependent on your own generation or your own capability. Second is top-down approach. When you have neighboring system which is surviving, then also they can extend power to you so that you can restore in a, because those will be a very larger island, or those will be the area which is having a significant amount of inertia. So those are very stable kind of scenario. So they can supply the power to you. Only issue is that cranking path. Whether the cranking path is having adequate reactive support available. If that is available, then you can immediately supply to the next substation. You restore the load in that area, you provide, and if the tie line that through which, the cranking path through which you are supplying from the neighboring region, if it is having an adequate capacity, then you can charge it, you can provide a significant large amount of power. You know that within the neighboring region, you always have a high capacity line so that exchange of power can be, there should not be any constraint in the exchange of power between these two areas. So in that terms, you will be having a high capacity line available with you. And if you are able to charge those lines and supply the power, then you can restore a large chunk of load at the least amount of time that is required. So the top-down approach, you have this power from this area, neighboring areas, you are able to restore the generation, and you are restoring. And in between that, from neighboring region, you are restoring some of the nearby generating plant. And after that, you prepare a core island kind of scenario. From there, you can restore the major power plant which is available in that particular area which is blacked out. So advantage is fast restoration of critical auxiliary supply to generating station, can restore multiple areas of system at the same time. You can see that you can restore this area, that area, wherever the substation power is available from the neighboring system. So you can stabilize. And higher stability due to the larger inertia of the remaining system which is already in service. No synchronization required here, because if you are supplying from the rest of the system, all are running at the same frequency. If they are not, like not in the case that all the system are asynchronously connected, and then you have to go for a very the system is with which island, which part of the system is which island, and when we have to isolate and connect at what frequency. So that will be a cautious approach. In our Indian system, we don't have to worry because all the system are running at the same frequency. So if one of the part is left out and one of the part blacked out, so what we can do is that restore from the same system itself, because all of them are running at same frequency. So synchronization problem will not be that high. If their frequency is the same, then there will not be any problem in the synchronization. You have to look into the angular aspect rather than also on the frequency aspect. Okay. Then what is the issue? That disadvantage may experience high voltage. Already I told you that this will be high capacity line that is available, and reliant on the neighbor's ability to supply the power. So you are very much dependent on them, whether they can extend the power to you, whether there is in many countries there are contracts on the supply of black start, ancillary black start ancillary services are also there. So in that you have some contract, during the such condition you have to supply me power. You may experience transmission constraint, like your transmission line is having 3000 megawatt capacity. So up to, you cannot go for n-1 kind of scenario, because one transmission line if trip through which you are supplying, then the whole that area again may get blacked out. So you may face transmission constraint also under such situation. So depending upon the type of blackout, the area where the blackout has happened, basically we can go for a mixed kind of approach when both kind of scenarios are available to us, that neighboring system is also there and there is a black start source also within the part, and there are some island also formed. So it combines the bottom up and top down approach. Okay, so what is the steps? So first you do restore the transmission from outside source, because it will take a very small amount of time to restore the supply back to the next plant or from the neighboring system. So it will take and you create a smaller area of island, you supply first to the generation plant nearby in the blackout portion from the neighboring region, and then bring back that particular plant. So he can create more, he can supply to the next power plant, next substation or nearby loads. And then also black start at the same time. What you are doing is that you are doing the black start of the near whatever the available black units are there. You increase your island size and then you synchronize them so that in this way you are doing the both the approaches. So your combination approach will result in a very quick restoration of the system. We will look into one of the beautiful example. Okay, so last but not the least, what approach should be used? So already we have discussed all the aspects that restoration method will depend upon what? First is the how means whatever the assessment you have done for the blackout. There can be assessment that you are not able to connect with the neighboring system, so you don't know whether they are surviving or not, because the communication may break down at that moment of time. But there may be a communication that is available with the internal system. So that is how better you are able to assess your system or your condition or the situation awareness that you are having. Based on that, it will be dependent. Okay, then you have the whether your availability of outside assistance is there or not, availability of island CPP house load units are there or not in the blackout, whether there is an internal black start generation capabilities available or not, whether the cranking path, whether the cranking path that is available, whether it is healthy or not. That also you will decide your restoration approach. Let us say you have a black start unit, but problem is that when you are trying to charge, there is a very high, it is connected through a 400 kV line and you are not able to provide the adequate reactive power from the generating plant itself. So under that condition, your cranking path to that particular hydro plant will not be available. So you have to do means these kind of certainly activities prior to this kind of scenario that you face. You have to mock drill, you have to prepare your restoration procedure in such a manner that these things are considered. Okay. Then what is your objective? One thing is that you want a very quick restoration or you want a critical load restoration. So quick restoration means all load will be considered and one by one based on the available opportunity you try to supply to the available. In case you only means first your attempt is to restore the critical load, what will happen is that in the meantime your focus will be on the critical load supply. So much effort will be going into that. So there may be a delay in restoration of the rest of the system. And what is the restoration procedure that you adopt? Each utility have their own restoration based on the available amount of information, available amount of power, available amount of these available islands, islanding schemes, captive power plants, house load units, black start units. So based on that, they prepare their own procedure and they adopt those procedure. So based on that, they will decide on the approach utilized. So this is on the side of the approach that we will be using. So next is I have some questions. Okay. So That is all for the part 1. So we will look into this overall aspect, that what are the blackout types, reasons, restoration, then what are the assessment that you have to do, then you have to go for the what are the strategies that you can do, and some examples that you have seen in today's webinar. So in the next webinar, we will discuss on the issues. We have looked on the overall aspect. We have to the what are the issues and the transmission system that you are going to face during the restoration. We have given a layout or the layman language terms definition, or the whatever you can say the explanation of the restoration procedure. But detailed explain means what are the issues that you are going to face, what are the challenges that we face, how it solved, what better things, what better control we can adopt, what are the type of control that should be known to all, that during restoration this control has to be enabled, which is available in the generating unit, which is available in the HVDC, which is available in the different type of equipment, so that they do not again they provide a very good support to the system during the restoration. So those we will discuss into the latter part of the second part of the webinar.